What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review the 5th album by 50 Cent. Basically, this product is called Animal Ambition and Untamed Desire to Win, and it came out in the late spring of 2014. So the thing about this product here is just the fact that 50 Cent was originally going to put out an album called Street King Immortal that was going to be on Shady's. He was going to put out an album called Street King Immortal that was going to be on Eminem's Shady Records. 50 Cent was going to put out an album called Street King Immortal that was going to be on Eminem's Shady Records label and Dr. Dre's Aftermath label. But the thing about it was the singles that were released for it, the particular promotion run for that album started in about the spring of 2012. And the fair behind it, there was a number of build-up things to that particular product. Originally, it was going to be called 5 Murdered by Numbers, but then that became a mixtape, which I reviewed way back in 2015. Some excellent type appeals that has some gems on there. That was an album, but it later became referred to as a mixtape pitch, just like that. But it's kind of more or less, in certain senses, almost considered 50 Cent's 5th album. But it's just been the pitch that around that time in 2012, that was where the initial kind of conduct and the rollout for Street King Immortal was going to happen. He tried some singles. One had Eminem and maybe Alicia Keys. There was one that had there were 2 singles that had Eminem, Dr. Dre, Alicia Keys, and Adam Levine on there. I don't remember which ones are which, but one of which had Dr. Dre on there, one of which had Eminem on there, and one of which had and Adam Levine from Maroon 5 on there, and one of which had Alicia Keys. So it's just the pitch, but both those singles did not do that terrifically. And then for the longest time, Street King Immortal just continued to get delayed, and it's basically like that particular album, Street King Immortal, is like within the relative format of that particular album by 50 Cent, Street King Immortal, is in a similar format to Dr. Dre's Detox, where this is heralded and talked about pretty commonly, but this probably is never going to come out. It's just been pitched. That was going to be the 5th album on Shady Records, as far as this fair is going to happen. Basically, that was going to redeem 50 Cent back to his Get Rich or Die Trying days, because, within the fair. Now, I don't pay attention to these conducts, but there's a number of folks that kind of say that 50 Cent's best album was Get Rich or Die Trying within those pitches. He definitely has further type ones. The Massacre was not bad, had some gems on there like Just a Little Bit, Disco Inferno, Out of Control remix, some of type 1, some good Dr. Dre beats on there. Gatman and Robin with Eminem was pretty good. Curtis was an excellent album. In certain senses, I think in more often than not senses, I like Curtis more than I like Graduation by Kanye West, and the vast majority of the folks I've encountered within like hip-hop social media and things like that tend to prefer Graduation to 50 Cent. But when that beef happened in 2007, I preferred the Curtis album back in those days. And then before I Self-Destruct from 2009 did not do that terrifically. That was a very quiet and very short-centered kind of like 50 Cent album. It had Dr. Dre and Eminem on there and folks like that, some of those type pitches, but it only got to barely the 2nd single. Had one minor hit with Neo called Baby by Me that was kind of here and there for a brief while, but then 50 Cent tried dropping the single Do You Think About Me, which did not do that terrifically, and then he basically vanished for a good while. But he was going to put out one more album, Shady Records, but it kept getting delayed. The singles didn't catch on and eventually got scrapped. So in early 2014, he just decided to have like a new venture and put out this product, which is some excellent type appeals, and it's pretty classic. Now, within the pitch, when I fucked with this album back in the day, I did fuck with the number of songs, but it just didn't have the same lasting appeal that 50 Cent did in the 2000s. I mean, it definitely has what you're looking for from 50 Cent. It has that mixtape type appeal that he helped kick off. 50 Cent, for folks that don't as full-bound know, is one of the folks that helped kick off like the mixtape movement of the 2000s with his G-Unit mixtapes from 2002. He's one of the initial ones that probably did it in terms of like a commercial type sense, apart from just like the most kind of hardcore folks that were doing it probably back in 2000, 2001, a little bit earlier than that within those fairs. Was just the pitch. 50 Cent helped commercialize it, had a big run, obviously with the mixtapes from 2002 being signed by Eminem, some of those pitches in the format. Was just the pitch as far as saying returns to some of that here, has some good contemporary type moments, kind of 50 Cent what he's been up to since really being more within these pitches, considering it took him all the way until 2014 to drop another album. It kind of felt like a number of things happened in the 2010s where 50 Cent kind of felt like more of a relic, but it's just kind of the pitch as far as saying I think the affability behind this product is definitely there, but it's the product. This is kind of the product that 50 Cent it's not so much that he was past his prime, but it's just the pitch that when you think of some of those type of songs that folks remember from like the summer of 2002 and the summer of 2005, it just felt like those times had somewhat shifted within the tones. But it's not like it's bad, it's just kind of the pitch. Just interesting hearing Schoolboy Q, who was on fire in like 2014 on like a song from like 2005, 2006, some of those DJ drama kind of mixtape days. That's the pitch within some of those type fairs. There is a Dr. Dre production on here, which is pretty excellent. That's a prime beat. It's probably one of the most recent Dr. Dre beats I can think of that probably has like some full-bound fury. This is a good type pitch of just something. Dr. Dre in the 2010s really did not commonly drop. The only real other album I can think of that he was on, apart from 1 or 2 songs on Games, the Red album, And then a few songs on Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City is probably this product. I mean, it's just kind of pitch as far as saying just one last hurrah for Dr. Dre fucking with 50 Cent within those songs. It's not like he doesn't fuck with them anymore. It's just the pitch that this is the most recent 50 Cent album. Now, he has dropped other mixtapes, but I think pretty much 50 Cent's most recent project as a whole is probably like the Canon tape or something like that from late 2015. He did make it to a little bit of the mid-2010s, but for the most part, 50 Cent just kind of phased out of doing music for the most full-bound type part and just really got into movies, got into television channels, got into acting, some of those type pitches, just really fucked with television, some of those type pitches. That's the form of what he's been up to, but this is a recent type one, has plenty of fury. Just to say, this is, like I was saying, this is another classic recommend. Out of 14 songs in the deluxe edition, there's really only one song I don't recommend, so it's just one pitch as far as saying this is just similar type fury. Maybe it's not as commercially bound successful, but it has the strengths that 50 Cent has on here. It's just kind of the factoid of this as far as saying that I just started to notice that a lot of folks, they kind of get their window of like, as far as like the popularity kind of happens, unless they do something that connects with like some sort of new trend in generations kind of within the pitch that I think folks fuck with 50 Cent, but it's more just based upon the pitch when you think of like the classic songs that will always get spins like Disco Inferno and like Into Club, some of those type ones, just those typical type formats as things shifted to like later eras. It's just, this feels like folks nowadays just didn't do as much of their research about what 50 Cent really helped helm back in those days like 2002 and 2005, some of those type pitches. Not to say it's not so much ignorance as much as it is just the concept that this is, I think it's just overshadowed by folks just not as full bound knowing. Now look after here, so apparently off this project, every single song off the standard edition of this album was released as a single. I'm only going to talk about 4 of them. On Wikipedia, there are 4 clickable singles that you can go to that have articles written about them, so I'm just going to talk about those 4 ones. I'm not going to talk, I am going to talk about most of this, I'm going to talk about the songs I recommend on here, but just to do it in a singles type form, I'm just going to talk about the songs Don't Worry About It, Hold On, Pilot, and Smoke, and then I'll just get to the other songs, so it's the same sort of pitch, but just the format as far as saying, apparently there was like there was a pretty vast promotion cycle for this product between about the spring of 2014, from March of 2014 to June of 2014 when it drops. This is the pitch as far as saying had enough promotion about it, but still, I feel like this album, considering that 50 Cent had at least 2 multi-platinum albums that really did some damage, like Get Rich or Die Trying nowadays, pretty much almost went diamond. I would say in certain senses, I think it did go diamond. Last I checked, it was at 9 times platinum. I think nowadays it might have went diamond. And then Massacre from 2005 was like 5, 6, or 7 tons platinum, somewhere in there. So definitely a pretty big deal around those times. That's why it's surprising that so many people didn't like the Massacre, but just the pitch behind it. Curtis, I want to say, is at least double platinum, but it's just within the pitch as far as saying this one, I probably would not even say this album went gold within the pitch, but just the format of saying that just the tides kind of shifted. Things were more kind of on like the mixtape Things were kind of more on like the blossoming trap type scene, the mixtape kind of IG live pitches like that. Some of the stuff first in the pitch. That's the format of what was particularly going on. But it's just the pitch as far as saying, so yeah, I'll talk about those 4 singles. So Don't Worry About It has Yo Gotti on here, which is a pretty good pitch within those fairs. Don't Worry About It's like a syrupy kind of highlight to kind of get just some night dazzle. I'd definitely say new era kind of 50 Cent is what he's nowadays kind of up to, pitches like that, particularly since folks hadn't full bound seen him probably on like a relative single and like a longevity type format since probably like 2007, so it'd been like 6-7 years, something like that. Just being able to say this has some good nowadays flash, like I was saying, this is pretty sleek type song within the pitch. So it's pretty pizzazz. I think it was a good attempt to be 50 Cent's comeback single. Was just kind of the format as far as saying this the fares behind it. I just think the product of it was probably not given as much of a full bound chance as probably what it probably needed. I'll take a look and see what the chart appeal of it was. Yeah, it really only charted on like the R&B hip hop songs, just the top 40. It was hit 42 on that list, but it is classic 50 Cent. It's kind of the format that the tides had shifted a lot since like 2007 to 2006, 2007 pitches like that. But the thing about it was just the pitch. I've talked about this a number of times in like miscellaneous videos, pitches like that. But it's just uncommon to like the format as to why 50 Cent just dried up as quickly as he kind of did just within the format of it. I just feel like his particular run at the top was just mildly short within the pitch. He did have his mixtape run in 2002, but everyone loved Get Rich or Die Trying, but it just felt like folks kind of phased out after the Massacre. That was a popular album, but for some reason that just has a lot more flack about it than particularly the fare behind it, and G-Unit fell apart in 2006. So it's just kind of the pitch that really 50 Cent was really only given like 1 or 2 albums to be able to have within the fare, just being in the spotlight full bound. It's just kind of the pitch. There were some good ones. Curtis, in my opinion, is a classic. Before I Self-Destruct is pretty vicious within those tones, pretty much a classic as well. It's kind of pitch behind. This is another nice one within those tones, but it just feels ancient considering the fares. It just the things that had happened paying attention to folks like Schoolboy Q, Kendrick, Future, Meek Mill, Rick Ross, some of the folks within those essences, just in the format of it. Yo Gotti, Waka Flocka, a bunch of folks like that were kind of happening in the 2010s, but good type of appeal. Hold On is the second single. It's a nice one. It's like a dope throwback to early 2000s 50 Cent. I'd say just mixtape and Massacre type vibes about this song within pitches like that. The Massacre by 50 Cent has some good mixtape type vibes. That was just like an album version of that, just pitches like that. So just 2002, 2005 50 Cent. It's like some good city. It's like some city weaving to kind of get here within those aspects. It's good for some pawn shop goings, pitches like that. So just the form of that typical type, just city grime, some of that particular aspect, very similar to Mobb Deep, some of those type folks, and other folks like that. Wu-Tang within certain senses, kind of typical NY type buzz, some of those type fairs are just in between type moments. It's kind of spare, just kind of what's up in like the neighborhood. Just it's good to get updates within these particular fairs because it does feel pretty contemporary. Just the format, if you're getting tired of listening to songs from like 2002 and 2003 within the aspect that 50 Cent polish just has some aspects of this nowadays type time. So it's just a good update within some of those type fairs, but yeah, this is the pitch behind it. So I'd say Pilot is a nice one. It's like a nice 2000s kind of mixtape, glared kind of single. Pilot's like a nice 2000s mixtape, glared kind of single to kind of get this out on the town like an underground kind of throwback sense that I'd say here. Just pretty hot type one. So just within the pitch as far as saying it's that typical fare, pretty similar to Hold On. It's a little bit more in like the traditional, like a more kind of starry type fashion, like some of those type ones with like those 70s samples pitches like that. This feels like something that Don Cannon, DJ Drama, some of those type folks would do on the regular back in 2006, 2005, 2004. Pitches like that, 2007, just some of those particular products of it's just routine kind of pitch, just some highlightness within that aspect. Smoke is the fourth single. This is a pretty attentive type one. I'd probably say the ones with the most attention grabbingness that probably could have done some good attempts to bring 50 Cent back would have been Don't Worry About It and Smoke. Smoke has the Dr. Dre beat on here. So Dr. Dre is on here at least once. So despite the fact that this is not on Shady Records, doesn't have Eminem pitches like that, still some good type tones. That's another thing just to say that 50 Cent dropped an excellent album without Eminem and the Dr. Dre backing some of those type folks within it. So you're not going to find like the Mikey Elizondo and Dr. Dre beats and some of those type folks, other folks like that. It's like some particular ones that kind of work with Dr. Dre oftenly enough that I don't remember. Not really any Eminem productions on here either, which is unfortunate, but it's just kind of pitch. But Smoke is a nice, this is a pretty blistering type one. Like I said, it's one of the more recent Dr. Dre beats I can think of that's just pretty fierce. Not to say like he's not fierce nowadays, but this is just a recent one that's like actually something that's noticed that it's actually one that has like, it's actually one that's able to be noticed, pitches like that in terms of being able to find it like he actually did and was released as far as those first, because he doesn't release too much commonly these days. But I look after it, yeah, Smoke is like a glittery kind of stunt heavy kind of night shift buzz, kind of get just a new era 50 Cent on like a snazzy kind of 2010s Dr. Dre, which like a snazzy kind of 2010s Dr. Dre heat, which is some excellent aspects. Pretty hard song to get with these aspects. It's a pretty hard song to kind of get within these aspects. Definitely the pitch behind it is the format. It is classic Dr. Dre and 50 Cent type team ups. Just a good type fare to be able to get another of these. Just feels like, pretty much feels ripped out of 2009, 2010 within some of those type fares. Just feels like something that probably would have been a single around those times. You know, it just feels very hungry compared. It's not quite as comfortable. When you think of songs that were Dr. Dre and 50 Cent team-ups in the past, like Come and Go. You think of classic 50 Cent Dr. Dre team-ups in the past, like Come and Go and Out of Control remix, some of those type ones. Those just feel a lot more, just kind of more relaxed and just the facet of just having a little bit more. I mean, it's not like this one is not good, but this has a little bit more. It has a little bit more fleetiness, which is surprising just because that. The particular sound of previous team-ups just felt more comfortable within the pitch. This particular one is a nice one, but it's just kind of the pitch that this song should have been a bigger deal than what it particularly was. I mean, the format is just I can't really think of too many Dr. Dre produced type songs that have charted on like the Billboard and pitches like that within those times as far as like the 2010s. Unless it was Kendrick, I probably would say for the most part Dr. Dre being on the charts. It's probably been since like Crack a Bottle, since like the last time I can recall seeing Dr. Dre on the radio in terms of those type formats. There might be like one or two other songs, but within the pitch, this song should have been a larger deal than what it was. I mean, for one thing, it's the Dr. Dre beat, and that only pops up like in the 2010s, maybe like once every 1 or 2 or 3 years, pitches like that, and then it's just a classic team up within some stuff. It's just a pitch, a real nice one, but this feels more fleeting and just not as like sound as like it particularly should. This feels more fleeting and not as sound as like it particularly should within the full band. It's not like it's a nervous song or pitch like that. It's not like it's a bad song with any pitch. It's just the format. It just doesn't sound as predominant as it should have like back in 2007 or 2005, just the pitch. But excellent type of feel. It's a real nice one. It's very blistering. It's a good song to get real tore up to within some type of formats. This feels like that particular type of feel. It's a real apple type one within the pitch. You know, I look after, so there's 14 songs in this album. Like I said, I recommend 13 of those. The only song I don't recommend in any fashion is just Animal Ambition, the title track. This particular one just felt like more of like a hangout type fashion, just more around the pad with your pals, some of those type pitches, but just didn't pull out the vibe. Kind of feels like that particular song Feels like one of the singles by Exhibit off of Weapons of Mass Destruction by 2004, that motherfucker song pitches like that, which that particular song by Exhibit's pretty good within pitch, but just the sporadic kind of production on Animal Ambition was just not as catchy. I mean, it was I think the fashion of nailing like a hangout type song, which is just a little bit more lays, taken it back, where it would be possibly PlayStation or some movies on pitches like that, having like Stargate on, or having movies like Speed on, or The Matrix on, some of those type pitches within the format, Constantine, some of those type ones, pitches like that, some of those particular affairs, Minority Report, some of those type pitches. Was just the format as far as saying, just didn't nail as much the full bound kind of vibes. Just the pitch to have an extra type fair. I don't know, I think probably what I would have went with a more Apple, I mean, it's a good, I think within the fashion, it's not a bad song within the pitch, it's just kind of the aspect of just nailing like the connect with that particular song, which is not as, I feel like particular vibes like Smoke and probably like Winner's Circle, Chase the Paper just had a little bit more affable, but it was just strange because Animal Ambition felt more of like a recreational kind of 50 Cent type song that's just within pitch. Normally you get more grime from 50 Cent within those tones, but just kind of fashion, just some extra moments that just didn't have as much fun. I mean, it's not like it's a bad song, it's just the pitch that's just kind of one that's just a little bit more not, it's a little bit extra. But there's some ones on here that remind of like the 2009 50 Cent, like Winner's Circle's like a throwback to 2009 Self-Destruct Days that I'd say is like Do You Think About Me, some pitches like that, just some late 2000s kind of glamorous, some of those type fairs. So just some step out BZ wise pitches like that, some good type of appeal, just within like the glamour of it, just paying attention to like the product, like some paying attention like some good pizzazz, some of those particular type fairs. So like the aspect, like the snazz about it. This mid 2010s version, like some promo nights, some of those type pitches. This feels ripped out of 2009 or late 2008, some of those type pitches within it, thinking of some of those type ones. Another one that's just like that would be Twisted. So Twisted is like a good radio grab to kind of get here. This probably would have worked as a single. I think it was actually released as a single, but this was in the format. Just don't know how much it charges. Like a throwback to 2009 50 Cent, like I was saying, just like Winner's Circle. It's a good polished night, some of those type of appeals, just a starry kind of glamour and some grand enjoyment as far as those first apps. So just a miss like date night type appeal where there would be white plates, pitches like that. It's a fancier type of grace within the pitch behind it. I want to say 50 Cent was doing songs like that with Robin Thicke. He's done a couple songs with Robin Thicke. I think there's at least one on 5 Murder by Numbers, and there might be one on like a recent 50 Cent project I reviewed back in 2024, which was like the War Angel LP, some of those I pitched. So this that particular more gloss and glamour about it, it kind of has mild vibes between like Before I Self-Destruct and then also the War Angel LP, some of those type moments in the pitch, so good type appeals. I would say another song like that mixtape type format from the mid 2000s is Flip on You. Like I said, this has Schoolboy. This has Flip on You has Schoolboy Q on here. It's like a vintage mid 2000s mixtape DJ drama fair to get within those aspects. Good song to smoke up to. Some of those type products. Just an easy example of prime era 50 Cent. Some of those type pitches, just lit type songs. So this is the format. Interesting pitch to get Schoolboy Q on one of these type ones. Is house cleaning type music pitches like that. Standard fare, just like trajectory, should take you back right back to 2006, 2007. Some of those type products of it. Real clever song on here would be Hustler. It's like an after hours kind of pajama cat kind of thump to kind of get just getting by in like a sludgy kind of commerce, I have to say, just kind of a sleepy kind of half stone type pace within the pitch bonus. This is the product that likes some good hole in the wall type places, just some easy kind of drowsy typeness, just in the aspect red eyes or golden eyes pitches like that, just to miss like some late shift kind of commerce. Visiting like strip clubs and kind of more sleaze sludge, some of those type aspects within the tone behind it, so good aspects there. Feels like something that Too Short would have been on, and folks like that, E40, folks like some of those type fairs, I'd say probably DJ Quick, some of those type cats. One of the best songs out this album, and a real ferocious type one is Irregular Heartbeat. It's like an album standout, I would definitely have to say here. Just a menacing 50 Cent and like a new era example of like classic. This is a very menacing 50 Cent and like a new era example of like classic NY grime as far as this pitch can happen. So this feels like something that would have been a banger within the pitch of having Mobb Deep on there and folks like that. It's not like this song is not a banger, but this is an example of like a classic kind of NY tune ripped out of like the 2010s. So like when you think of some of the most notable songs out of New York hip hop pitches like that in terms of that fair out of the 2010s, this is one that probably is like a standout within those pitches. Can't name as many super commonplace type ones, but this is definitely one that's probably one of those type ones. Like when you think of In the Club by 50 Cent out of like the 2000s, and like a song by songs by Ghostface Kill out of the 2000s, like off of Fish Scale, like Back Like That, some of those type ones, and like Touch It by Busta Rhymes, some of those type pitches. This is one that's probably like that out of the 2010s, I would say. It has Kid Kid on here, who was like a blossoming kind of G-Unit member, and Kid Kid is on here a couple times, pitches like that. He was getting ready to be like the next G-Unit member. He is actually on a few projects, but Jadakiss is on the song. There are some good guests on here. Trey Songz helps out with the hook on the song Smoke, the Dr. Dre production I was talking about. Like I said, Yo Gotti's on Don't Worry About It, the lead single. Surprise appearance by Prodigy is on one of these songs, Chase the Paper. I'm going to get to that song, and Styles P's on here, so it's a good assortment. Schoolboy Q's on the song. Cat named Gordon Banks is on the hook on Winner's Circle. Mr. Probst on Twisted. To look after here, trying to another song off the deluxe edition is You Know. This is a nice one. This feels like an outtake from like a Dr. Dre session that 50 Cent probably would have had back on Shady Records. Some of those type of appeals. This good type pitch for that. Good highlight bop to kind of get here within the tones. It just feels like something Dr. J probably would have done like 2008, 2009 when working on Detox. Some of those type pitches. That typical kind of basic piano type hop with just some thunder about it, just some pitch behind it. Just 50 Cent on one of those type ones. It's kind of a leftover probably. I mean, it says that this song came out in 2013, which is before like the typical kind of promotion run of like Animal Ambition. So I don't know why. It's strange that 50 Cent held on to this song from 2013 when I don't know if he knew that he was going to put out Animal Ambition in 2013. It's this kind of pitch. I mean, Eminem tends to do that at times where he'll throw songs that he worked on from like Relapse or Recovery Days or just previous albums, pitches like that, and he'll throw them on some newer albums. So maybe that's what 50 Cent did here, some of those type of pitches, and just getting something that may have been somewhere from like the days when he was on Shady Records. But it definitely feels like something Dr. J produced, even though it wasn't. It says that You Know was produced by Soul Professor, but it definitely feels like something that would have been back when he was on Eminem's label, pitches like that. So good type tone, but Chase the Paper's a quality one. Now this, when I Chase the Paper's like a routine kind of hustler's makeshift grit to kind of get here. This feels like a Mobb Deep kind of grime type song, pitches like that, but just a little bit more shiny. But Chase the Paper is just kind of, I mean, this has some relative commercial bite about it, not as much full bound, but just kind of the pitch of just getting like a more commercial kind of Mobb Deep song. To some of that, like Mobb Deep's usually rooted in like the more grimy type aspect, just the city slime pitches like that, but this is just a format of having 50 Cent and just a little bit more polished, that sort of stuff that would have been ripped out of like 2000s Mobb Deep or 90s Mobb Deep, some of those type fashions. Pretty much like a good posse song, good to get Styles P and Prodigy on here, pitches like that. It was just kind of fair as far as saying. It's really strange hearing Prodigy on this particular song, considering that he only had like a few, considering that this was like just a couple years before Prodigy's death, which still feels strange within the aspect as far as talking within those particular projects. But it's just kind of a quieter Prodigy versus realizing that he still was somewhat active throughout a good portion of 2010, so good type pitches for that. Styles P is on here as well, and then Kid's on this song, so it's just pitches some of those type fares. Every time I come around to another nice one within those pitches, like an in-between kind of city weaving, kind of get within these tones, just a typical kind of dredge run, just some typical kind of dredge on every. It's just some typical kind of dredge on every time I come around. This like a good runaround type song, just an easy kind of Tuesday pitch like that. So this is the fair as far as just getting towards the product. Pretty much goes pretty well with the song Hold On, the single Hold On. Some of those type fairs, just the aspect behind it. It's kind of extra type fair, whether it is visiting pawn shops or just amidst like the city traffic. Some of those type pitches, just getting like standard Burger King, Arby's, some of those type fashions with them pitch behind it. Just typical kind of errand paint. This typical kind of errand goings, and just amidst like the siren horn. Just amidst like the city sirens and just the aspect like the air of it. So it's just a pitch, good type fair. Trying to think of other songs I haven't talked about on here within the pitch behind it. I think that's about pretty much the fair as far as those aspects going to go. So I think I talked about every song out of these 13 I recommend. So it's just the pitch as far as saying. I don't know if I talked about the funeral. Maybe I didn't talk about the funeral. So this is another one on the deluxe edition. This is a real nice one. It's like a ghostly kind of city. Extra thoughts kind of get here. Just some day drifting commute, I would definitely say. Just kind of empty meals, pitches like that. It's kind of despair type thoughts, pitches like that. Just kind of not as much collect about it. Just kind of some makeshift slime as far as what's going to happen. So just the product of the song. Just when I say the product of it feeling empty, it's just kind of pitch. Just kind of like some down in the dumps pitches like that. But it's just kind of the fair. Just the ghostly type 50 Cent. It's just kind of a heroin and ghostly type 50 Cent type song that just has like some just it's just a harrowing, ghostly kind of 50 Cent song. The funeral is just a harrowing and kind of ghostly 50 Cent song that's just like some brushy kind of get along as far as what's supposed to happen. So just possibly like some city type fair, just some more autumn type fashion, or just relative kind of brush about it is the tone, and just like just more crisp type conduct about it within the pitch. So just not quite as sprightly, not quite as gathered, not quite as like this ambient and glowy within the pitch, but just a good aspect for some of those type tones. Just a little bit more dull within the pitch, not dull and bad, not dull in terms of quality, but just more dull hued, some of those type fairs. Not dull in terms of quality, but just dull in terms of hue as far as those aspects can have some good type pitch. But I look after it, so yeah, 13 out of 14, 10 out of 10 within those pitches. Definitely easy to recommend to get the deluxe edition. Now, the deluxe is not on Spotify, but it is worth tracking down those extra 3 songs within some of those fairs. This classic kind of compact 50 Cent album that just nails the pitch behind it. Just kind of an update. And that's why I would look at this album as just more of an update with 50 Cent. Just kind of the fair, just realizing that the pitch, he probably could have left with Before I Self-Destruct, and that could have been the finale. But this is kind of the pitch as far as saying it's just a good update to kind of have for like the recent times as to the stuff that had been going on with the 2010s, just to kind of say, just to supposing that him coming back after like his prime era would still be the pitch that he can continue to put out quality music. So this is the pitch that, despite the fact that in certain senses some folks would almost think that he was kind of a relic way out in 2014 and 2015, it was just kind of the pitch that a lot of this feels pretty notable and still has the venom about it, despite the fact that It may not be as contemporary, full bound, like being on top of the charts pitches like that. Still a product that a lot of this is pretty vicious. Just has like some good fierceness, has that NY grime that 50 Cent's known for, the mixtape grit, some of those type products, just some city weaving, some of those type bears, and some good graceful and night step out pitches like that, just between like the evening shifts, date nights, and just some venue glamour pitches like that as far as the first down. It's a good type pitch, just looking after it. Say 10 scores, and the social score, that's kind of tricky. I'd probably give the social score maybe like a 9.75. I look within it, the quality is definitely on here. It's pretty immediate within the aspect, but it's just kind of the tone as far as saying, but 50 Cent, it's actually kind of a tricky aspect to figure out what I would give the social score. I mean, I would probably give it a 10 just because the quality, all these songs are pretty good. I think 50 Cent has enough casual appeal to kind of have that aspect. The Dr. Dre beats, the extra folks on here do help. Has some pretty notable guests on here, pitches like that, some good attention grabbers, some of that particular type fair. It's just kind of the pitch as far as saying that. Just depends upon the facet as to who is saying what with the particular fair, because 50 Cent, it's not like he's hated or loved it, but it's just always a conduct as far as saying that the earlier 50 Cent tends to be better than the newer 50 Cent, which is bogus. I don't agree with it, but it's just kind of pitch that this album, just in terms of the casual sense, just doesn't have enough with the mic to be able to prove that difference. Just the pitch as far as saying it's just more that the shifting of the times more so than the quality of it. So I'd say I'll just give it a 10 social. In terms of future, like 50 Cent has dropped maybe like one or two projects past this one in 2014. I know at least the Cannon tape came out in 2015, but other than that, he hasn't really dropped much. He's dropped songs for like some of his television shows, pitches like that, but in terms of like a actual project or body of work, just hasn't happened. It was just within the pitch. I've gotten to plenty of these 50 Cent projects. I'm going to start getting to some of those mixtapes, including some of the G-Unit type ones, but this is a classic here, a recent era, a relative recent era 50 Cent classic, just one of those pitches that proves that he still has the fire, proves he still has the fire and fury, pitches like that. Just a good notable type one that just has a lot going for it, and this is like a good update of like some previous kind of mixtape heat and some of that NY grime and fury as far as this fair is going to happen.